Go.
My name is Waylon Probst, and I'm a student at CCAC currently studying for IT, which many people may not realize. IT is still a heavily male-dominated field, and there is many reasons for that. But one that I do believe is a big factor is the representation of women in media, which can affect how women view themselves and thus affect how they'll continue their careers. One of the such is many women don't enter STEM. A lot of them do not believe that they have the intelligence for such, and so it tends to be a male-dominated field. But a lot of that can come from the fact about how women are presented in television, books, movies. Many are not presented as smart. Until recent years, where we get more representation of women being able to be as capable as men, if not more so, for a long time, women were simply seen as homemakers, wives, maids, and so forth. One of my favorite examples of positive but negative representation of women is the Legally Blonde movie in 2001. It had a lot of positives. It was showing women entering a male-dominated field. It showed them exceeding expectations of themselves. And it did not mock these women for being overly feminine and still treated as smart more towards the end of the movie, of course, because they had to prove themselves, but they were not mocked for it. On the other hand, though, women who were not feminine were in a way mocked for it, seen as the antagonist or as against the other women and treated as not part of their community. This sort of divide can create its own issues with making women seem this is the way to be a woman, and if you are not like this, you are not a woman or you are actively against women. And that can cause issues in the way that if women are seen as they only have to be feminine, then they have to work almost in a way twice as hard, where they have to perform these exceedingly strict expectations of femininity while also performing the same roles as men, if not more so, to prove themselves even further. And women who do not conform as such are seen as either lazy or antagonistic or trying to be men, which of course is not true. I do enjoy the movie for how it presents women as being intelligent, and I'm sure that it inspired many girls who grew up watching that movie to believe so as well. But it also told women how they had to be. If they were to succeed, they still had to fit in a box. There's a lot of stereotypes and boxes that women are put into. Damsel in distress, a helpless woman that needs a man to come save her, or on the other side, the spinster who never settles for a man and thus will die alone. It doesn't really offer very many positives to girls growing up and seeing that on television, where they're told if they do want to be successful or enter careers or make their own names for themselves without men as negative, but women who do want those things are told not to be feminine, do not get dirty, don't cause trouble, keep quiet, thus leading many girls to grow up thinking to be successful is to not be a woman or to be a wrong woman, and the societal rejection that comes with such. I think another movie that comes to mind is the Barbie movie, where it also falls into a lot of the same pitfalls of women have to be feminine, but throughout the movie you see them rejecting some of those gender roles. One of the Barbies does not conform to gender, is a gender non-conforming Barbie that is ousted from the rest of them and treated as strange, but she later comes to help those other women, and they don't immediately all shave their heads, take off their dresses, and put on cargo pants and such. But they do listen to a lot of her ideals and see how she lives and invite her into their community as well without forcing her to change. And they adopt some of her ideas, where they also start to dress more comfortably, or they also stop trying to appease certain men. And it, in turn, creates a whole new community where women are coming together without being antagonistic to each other. The woman who does not conform is not the enemy to the woman who does. And I think those sort of representations, while minor, can start rolling the ball into these women growing more positive about the careers and prospects in their life. I personally think that none of these, the impact simply of showing women in successful careers or not having to depend on a man can impact so much of our day-to-day society of young girls growing up and entering fields that were previously male-dominated, and contributing not just to our society and economy, but to womanhood and community in itself, of creating a consciousness between us where we don't have to fall into these stereotypes anymore. It won't happen overnight, and these stereotypes are going to be hard to just simply get rid of. But small impacts and just showing simple representations of women being treated just as human as male characters can create a whole new wave of opportunities for young girls who previously had no idea that those were possible for them. I think that opening these doors will not just benefit women, but humanity as a whole. But we should also remember that women make up over 50% of humanity, and so it's about time that we start showing some positive representation for over half of the population that is currently on our earth, and is probably a lot of the people that you see in your day-to-day life.